Okay, everybody. I know it is a little past 5 o'clock, but um, there were a lot of photos to go through. So I have just finished kind of getting everyone's images kind of collectively collected, and I'm getting ready to kind of just go over what we covered. And just give me another quick second to organize myself. I hope you guys are all enjoying your Monday. It is a scorcher out there. For those of you who are outside, make sure to drink plenty of water because dehydration is not cool in uh, hot weather. So, just wanted to kind of pull this up here real quick. Brad says, "What's up, my friend Brad? Glad that you're joining us. Um, really glad that you're sharing your photos. Got your submissions in here. So let's see here. Charles DeWitt says, "Hi, Justin. Hey, Chuck. How you doing? Love seeing your photos. Really fun. I love your attention to detail, but we can get to that later. Um, let's see here. I'm going to share screen. And, of course, as always, guys, I kind of like to... Um, I kind of like to bring back to the attention of just kind of what we covered with the whole assignment. Um, just to kind of do a total recap here, so I'll try to not take up too much of your time. But again, this week's photo challenge was planes, trains, and automobiles. And of course, the biggest thing is like what we're doing with this is that we're just trying to get you guys out there and be creative, and then bring your images back so that we can do a live Facebook feed like this, and we can share your images with everyone, so everyone can see kind of how everyone kind of views the world. And hopefully you guys all find it inspirational, you find it uplifting, and that it inspires you to create more, and just to like be able to look at how some other people are approaching photography and how that might influence you or might change the way that you attack your craft here. So the first thing with the planes, trains, and automobiles is always going to be inspiration. And again, I tell everyone this. The easiest thing to do is just go to google.com, hit OK. If you want to shoot planes, you shoot planes. And you can go to plane photography, let's say. And we go to that. And we've got all these kinds of shots right here. We can just click on images, and here's inspiration for plane photography. We can easily do the same thing with cars. Is just Google search car photography, and you can see like these are a lot of commercial shots that people have taken for production. And here's even a toy car, model car, which a lot of people have had a lot of fun with, trying to make small things look like big things. This has kind of the same aspect and is feel as something like this, which is just a commercial shot of a Mustang, out in the desert. So that's the first thing. First order of business is always look for inspiration. You could type in something like famous plane photographer or famous automobile photographer and kind of see what your results are from there. That's what I encourage you guys to do, because inspiration will help serve you in order to help spur your creative mind and get the creative juices flowing. John Thomas is also saying hello, John. Thanks for tuning in. I got your photos here. So outside of inspiration, we've got safety and location. So one of the biggest things with this assignment, or just when you're shooting planes, trains, or automobiles, or any vehicle in general, is your overall safety. Now, when it comes to trains, guys, I don't encourage anyone to shoot near a railroad track. They tell you that whether or not it's an active track or inactive track, you just never know. Trains, even though you think they're loud, they can sneak up on you. There was a videography crew that was shooting like a music video or something, and they were on a railroad trestle, and the train was coming pretty quick, and they were trying to get off of the tracks, and one of the assistants on the shoot actually had like a gurney from a hospital, like a hospital gurney, and she got stuck on the tracks, and unfortunately she lost her life. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people shoot senior photos and family photos on railroad tracks, and for me, it's just I've read enough articles on it. You know, we've got this incident where this person lost their life. It's just, you just play it safe. You know, don't do it. You know, there are other ways to get the shot. There are more other, you know, yes, railroad tracks have creative lines, but if you know that they're active tracks, it's, you know, just don't flirt with danger, right? It's not worth it. The other thing is too, with trains actually hang off the track by 3 feet. So if you think you're like, oh, I'm a foot away, I'm good, you know, no, you're not. It's not like a car, where a car driving down the road, like if it's 6 inches away from you, the only thing that's going to hit you is the mirror or someone's hand outside the window. You know, you need to stay free and clear of the railroad tracks. I've also seen a video of this last holiday season of people shooting the Polar Express out on the east side of the state, and there's a person who almost got hit by that train because they were standing really close. I think their jacket got caught on the train, and I remember watching that video a couple times, and because of that, they actually had to close off access from the railroad tracks considerably, you know, open up a lot of, like, a safe distance for shooting. And it's just really crazy, guys. So, you know, be safe. The same thing goes for vehicles and cars. Stay off the road if you're getting your shot. You know, if you know, have another shooter with you so they can be your eyes and ears, you know, behind you, so that way you're not you're not shooting blind. You've got someone who's watching your back. Just be safe when you're shooting, right? That's the biggest thing. Location is also important. You want to pick the location where you want to take the shot. You know, again, time of day plays a big part in our photography. When's the best light? Typically it's in the morning. Typically it's in the evening. That doesn't mean you can't get great shots outside right now, but you know, it's really good for detail shots because you have really bright sunlight, so you got really contrasty shadows, so it helps with detail. You see a lot of detail in bright sunlight like today. If it's overcast, it might not be the greatest for your shot. So just bear in mind what your location is going to be, and what you're doing. Going back to some of the people who are saying hi, we've got the other Sandy who's saying hello. Hi, other Sandy. And we've got Sandy Bruce who's saying hello. One day, Sandy, other Sandy, when I hear the way your name is pronounced, I will be a little bit brave. I'll have a little bit more courage on pronouncing that. Baruzak is what or Baruzak or something like that is what I can kind of figure out right now. But I'm glad that you guys are tuning in and joining us. So bear in mind your position. You know, maybe you want to shoot a cab in New York City, and you want a particular business behind the cab. Because you want that to be the focus, because maybe the business says quick and go, right? And you know, you're capturing the taxi in motion, and you can stop it while the sign in the back room says quick and go. That can be a really creative thing. So keep those elements in mind. Keep your environmental elements in mind when you're creating these photographs, because your environment does help tell the story of your photograph. And that's what photographs are, right? Pictures say 1,000 words, or pictures are worth 1,000 words. Well, let's make them worth 1,000 words. Let's use every element, foreground, background, subject matter, all in one to create the most powerful images, right? That are resounding. So make sure to keep your environment in mind, because you can, like, again, if it says quick and go and you're trying to capture a speedy car going by, hey, I mean, it's like you're literally telling us it's quick and it's gone. So keep that in mind. One thing I will say with the timing and location, with shooting planes, there is the opportunity, like at certain airports, that they do have observation parks or areas that you can take advantage of. So bear that in mind. I know that the GR International Airport has an observation park that you can shoot from now, and just knowing when planes are coming in, you can get some really great shots. You'll want to have a telephoto lens, like like something greater than a 70-200, like a 150-600, maybe a tripod and a gimbal head, so that you're getting really stable shots, but you can capture those planes coming in and leaving, and have a lot of fun doing that. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of not just your safety around railroad tracks, but you can get times when certain tracks will be active, if you are privy to that knowledge, and that way you can kind of plan when a train will be going by a certain area, so that you can get the best shot. So lighting and time of day, we kind of talked about that you know, different times of day will have better lights. So again, photography means painting or drawing with light, so we want to make sure that we're shooting in situations that we are getting the best quality from our light. So angles and perspectives. Perspective is key in creating creative and interesting photographs. Shooting from eye level can get boring, so try to be creative with your perspective. Get down, get high. Try to present the viewer with something they've never seen before. If you can approach something from a new perspective or shoot it from a new angle, you are giving the viewer the opportunity to see something in a way that they've never seen it before. So I would try to encourage you to kind of push that envelope. And when you're doing that, shoot from all around what you're shooting. If you shoot the train from this angle, work your way 360 degrees around what you're shooting if you can, because you never know what you're going to be missing by not doing that. Especially if you're in a fixed position, you're shooting an object that isn't going anywhere, and you have the opportunity to be able to shoot it all the way around it. Take advantage of that, because you don't know which, you may have a shot in mind, but you're training yourself to look at things as a whole. Again, don't forget the environment. Don't forget all the perspectives that you can cover within that environment. The other thing here, lines, shape, and details. Again, the human mind is really interesting when it comes to art. We break things down into compositional elements. Composition is key. Where do those elements fall in the photograph? The rules of thirds, the rule of triangles, the golden ratio. All these things influence our mind and work subconsciously in our minds. So play to those strengths. We look for lines. We look for shapes. We like to create. We like to if we see something that looks like a triangle, our mind is going to say, hey, that's a triangle. So try to look for these things. Shoot for the details. It's fun to see the details of a subject. Don't always shoot for the wide shot. Always get closer. Todd and Brad Reed are very good about take a shot, get a little bit closer. Take another shot, get a little bit closer. And I would encourage you to do the same thing until you get so close that you can't focus anymore, because again, you're kind of breaking down the photograph to its simplest form, and the simplest form is details. So don't be afraid to shoot the details. Timing is going to be another thing when it comes to photography. There's this thing called the decisive moment. Henri Cartier-Bresson is very good for that, or known for that. Let's see. I'm going to bring up the decisive moment here real quick so you guys can see this. He was brilliant at being able to capture moments, and one of his most famous shots is this one right here. What is the decisive moment? Well, you've got this guy who jumped on a ladder, who's jumping across the puddle, and his heel is just hovering above the water. And we can see the ripples from where he pushed off of the ladder, and our mind, again, likes to complete problems, right? We see kind of these variables, and our mind likes to say A plus B equals C. Well, we got A, which is the guy jumping. B is going to be, or C is going to be him hitting the water, while B is kind of like that hovering action in between. It's like for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and our brain wants to complete those actions. So you see this heel just barely floating above the water surface, and our mind wants to complete that action. So in our heads, we have this moment of tension between the heel and the water, and our minds so badly want to see that heel touch the water. And I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I feel that way. And he's really good with like another one right here where he was on the stairwell, and this biker is going by the stairwell. So he's got kind of this golden ratio going around with the stairwell. And imagine how many people, I mean, he's shooting on film. This isn't digital photography, so he's got to pick and choose his shots. He's waiting for someone to walk by or to ride by on a bicycle to open up in that negative space on the stairway right here to get that shot. And he's waiting for that very moment where that, oh, here it comes, click. And you're hoping that you got the moment just right. So be mindful of the decisive moment, and that is very important when it comes to your sports photography, not sports photography, but your action photography when you're shooting these frames with planes, trains, and automobiles, because there is a decisive moment. Do you want to capture the car in blur? Do you want to capture the plane in motion? Do you want to freeze the train in motion? How do you want to illustrate movement to the viewer? Because you can express motion or you can freeze motion. So be mindful of that. We've got the timing and shutter speed. We just kind of talked about that, and all in the same hand is that you can express motion with blur, or you can freeze it completely so it's frozen in time. And suggested equipment, again, for this, it's gonna be all over the map. It's gonna be wide-angle lenses. It's gonna be macro lenses. It's gonna be telephoto lenses. I would recommend shooting on a tripod, especially if you're trying to shoot stuff in motion, because you can be in one spot, set up, and just use the clicker and just wait for something to go by and just hit click. So you guys can see that in the WZZM write-up that we have shared on our Facebook page, and we've got some people kind of tuning in, and we've got Brad Walker. We've got Mike Hedge saying hi. Mike, good to thank you for joining in. Sandy's helping me pronounce her last name, Barasak. I'm gonna murder it again. I'm gonna have to hear it. Call the store sometime. Let me hear it. Brad's saying I do captures for a group with jet ski friends. That's cool. So you'll have the opportunity to capture and freeze those guys in motion. So I encourage you to do that. Barasak. Man, I'm just other Sandy. She's like so close, so close. I will get it one of these days, Sandy. Until then, if you don't mind, other Sandy, that's a yes, she's like that works. So anyways, continuing on, I get a little distracted. You guys, this is, if there's no levity, there's no fun, right? Let's see, I've got to open up Bridge again so that I can get this to share. Where is it? Hang on one second. Bridge is being funny on me. So I can share my screen with you guys. There we go. Okay. Okay, so sharing your photos. I really, real quick, we're going through what our gracious host from WZZM, Kirk Montgomery. These are some of his shots from his planes, trains, and automobiles. We'll do some of mine, and then we'll get into yours. There were a lot of submissions this week, guys. I'm really proud of you guys for sharing and holding and doing that all, participating. It's really great to see that from you guys. So we've got this taxi cab that is able to, he's. This is what I was talking about, how your background can actually influence your image. When we see the taxi cab here, we can see the background clearly, and if there was a sign that said "Quick and Go," then you're kind of expressing what's happening with the taxi cab. So you can see that the taxi cab is in motion, and that's actually like a really great thing. He could either pan with it, or you can see that it's frozen. I really like that he got this. It's really showing that the cab is going somewhere. He's got this nice shot of a conductor jumping on the plane and at the train, and we talked about the decisive moment, and you can see that he's still in motion because his foot is kicking out and blurring just a little bit right here. So he's actually frozen on the pedestal, getting up into the train, and that's like a decisive moment. Is he hanging on with all of his upper arm strength, or is he, in the motion getting into the train? So that's kind of the nice kind of thing to let people's minds kind of figure those things out. From there, let's see. Is this being funny on me? Get back in here. There we go. He has this, he said he was shooting at a plane museum, and he got this old Pacific airliner. And I really like this. It reminds me of the old World War II planes, like the DC-10 kind of thing. He shot it in black and white, which gives it a really timeless look. And that, this shot could be from, 1950, or it can be from now. It's hard to tell because it's shot in black and white. And that's what I love about being able to, do black and white photos. If you've got something that is part of the whole timeless thing, like an old plane or an old boat or an old train, you can really kind of sell this ageless look to it. So I really like his shot here. Left us a lot of negative space to exist in. So I mean, it even looks like it could be flying. We don't know if it's in flight or not, because if he shot the shutter speed fast enough, he's freezing those propellers. And then finally, he's got this great shot of this vehicle outside of the Avalon Hotel. You really love the Art Deco. I really love the color palette. You got these nice aquamarine greens, the nice magentas, and then of course the matching yellow from the color palette. And something I kind of think of, guys, if you're looking for color palettes, think of Crayola markers. There's a reason why Crayola has like the bold pack, the neon pack, the standard pack, the classic colors. Those are color palettes, and those are things that if you can find matching colors, this is everything that you will find in the magenta, not the magenta, but the bold color Crayola marker box. So really love all the colors that are happening here with his shot there. Now these are some of mine. I told people that it was okay to enter some boats if you had a boat or so. Something that was still a vehicle, that transports people over water. So I may have some boats in here just for the sake of, more than just the land roving vehicles. So this is just a boat. I think it's one of those charter sailing ships outside of Grand Haven. Just wanted to capture the silhouette against the sunset, and I've got this, they're kind of centered up in the frame here, and I've got these birds in flight. I got the seagulls kind of there. Those are nice kind of little accent pieces. When we think of rule of thirds, the seagulls are kind of intersecting the rules of thirds, that the horizontal center is where the boat is existing, and those lines where the third are dividing, like right here and right here, are those intersecting points where those seagulls are. So that's just, again, going back to the decisive moment, knowing where those birds are going to be at in your frame when you take the shutter, being cognizant of that. Got my jet from the F-16 Air Force demonstration team. I can't think of them right now. The Thunderbirds. So you've got the Thunderbird demonstration team, and again, I like this little leading line of the exhaust leading you kind of into where the jet is going. And as the exhaust is expanding, you can kind of see that, where we're coming from and where we're going. Again, I am showing and expressing motion here. So even though I'm freezing the Coast Guard diver during the Coast Guard water rescue demonstration at the Cherry County Air Show, he's frozen in time, but I made sure that my shutter speed was just slow enough that it was freezing. It was fast enough to freeze this guy here, but it's slow enough that the rotors, I'm capturing the rotors in actual rotation. Because if I just froze them, it'd just be like this static image of a helicopter just kind of floating over the water. I wanted to illustrate that it was actually spinning, that the rotors are actually spinning, and you can see that with that little bit of blur here and here and here. So that is something that I would encourage you with certain planes, trains, or automobiles, is to try to capture that expression of motion. Kind of doing that here with this F-18 Hornet, Super Hornet. You've got this nice little mist coming off of the wings because it's going so fast in the way that it's braking, and that is kind of expressing motion or movement, that it's moving this way because we've got these nice streaks of air coming off of the wing, and I'm trying to fill the frame as much as I can with this guy. And then this is very similar to the Thunderbird demonstration. I've got a plane kind of entering in the scene from the left side going to the right, and I've got that exhaust trail to kind of move you from one end to the other, kind of showing you, illustrating this is where we came from and this is where we're going. And here are some detail shots of a Monte Carlo that I took down at Grand Haven on the boardwalk. This is with my Olympus camera. The other ones were with my Sony cameras. And this is out of camera color. I really love what Olympus can do with the art modes. This might have been pop art mode or just the auto mode, but I just really love the saturation and the color. And again, it's all about shooting around your subject matter, shooting 360 degrees, because at the front of the vehicle, we've got the hood ornament and the nice little insignia and symbol on the front. And those are nice little details. I got this nice little lens flare going on over here to kind of accent kind of that kiss of sunlight. So really love this. Then I had something I didn't share on the WZZM broadcast. This is an old plow truck that I found. And again, shooting things in black and white to make them timeless. Well, this is an older snow plow. And of course, I am kind of illustrating that it's older, not because it's rusty, but I'm trying to give it this kind of ageless look by shooting it and giving this vignette kind of like it's on film wet plate. So there is that for you. And then doing the same thing here with these tugboats. This was during a cold winter storm in January. The wind was blowing. We had good snow. You can kind of see it kind of coursing through the image. And these tugboats are just down at Muskegon Lake, kind of in dock there. And as you can see, I'm trying to minimize as much of the background as possible. I didn't want to include that, but I didn't want to crop in on the bow or the stern of these two boats. So if you can eliminate some of those other factors, it would have made it look like there's two tugboats out to sea if I didn't have this back here and this back here. But I just love that they're docked in port and they're moored there at their moorings, and that we've got this nice winter storm blowing through. So those are my examples, everyone. We're going to get to yours here right now. So hope you guys are enjoying this so far. If you have any questions during this, don't be shy. Throw in your questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have about this. But let's get to work. So the first off, we've got Brad Walker, who I know is tuning in right now, and he had 3 shots that he submitted, and he's down here at Pier Marquette Beach. He's shooting some nice kind of like souped up cars, or you know, kind of like the Fast and the Furious kind of vibe going on with these guys. But what he's doing, he's being creative about how he's shooting it. We got this nice leading line with the vehicles going this way, but we also have that nice fine edge right here with the sand and the pavement. We've got some lines kind of receding to the background a little bit. But what we're doing is that, you know, the way that he's shooting so low. Again, he's using perspective to his advantage, and it's always kind of cool to shoot cars from that lower angle because you're making them look more dominant, kind of like they're coming at you even though they're not moving. So we've just got this kind of nice shot going down the line here, again following the line of the pavement. You know, it would have been nice to kind of have repeating sports cars throughout there, so that you kind of have this continuous line like you would see at car shows. You know, but you probably just have 2 buddies who are down there hanging out with their souped up cars. So great shot there, Brad. He's also got the boat heading out of the channel, the Great Republic, and he's you know, he's probably using a telephoto lens. And this is an interesting kind of shot because we're kind of flattening out the space. And that's what happens with telephoto lenses, is that when you use those, you're really just kind of flattening out how it looks. You know, it's almost like this optical illusion is happening. I would love to see this as like a 3D photo, like, you know, through those old school Viewmaster kind of things, because the way that the boat is shot, it looks like this boat has been superimposed against this background, but it's the boat is just in the water, and the way that the light's hitting it, and the way that our focus is hitting. Trying to figure out where the focus is at, and I don't know, Brad, are you messing around with photo manipulation? Like, did you put these 2 photos together, or did you shoot it this way? You know, I can see it happening actually optically, making sense. But this edge right here just doesn't seem real, even though I believe it is. It's just the way that the light is bouncing off of the water, hitting the people, but it's just flattening out that space, and I think it's a great capture. So, and he's talking about the red car is a McLaren in the back, and the black one is a GTR. So, thanks for that, Brad. So we're going to his next one, and this is probably shooting the black one again, the GTR, as it's getting ready to leave. Again, shooting from a lower angle, shooting up, making the car look big. I really like the take on this. You know, sharpen focus right here. Good detail. I mean, it falls out of focus back here, but that's okay because we're really looking right here. We got some vignetting going on, whether that was post-production or in camera. But I really like this. The only thing is, I wish there were some clouds in the sky, Brad. That's not on you. I mean, you're just shooting when you can. I just like having I like having sky, open sky, have some kind of clouds. So got that. Really appreciate that. This is going to be from, let's see here. This is from Matthew Tate, and this is, I believe this is a Corvette that he shot. Yeah, it's a Corvette because you can see right here. Again, the devil's in the details, people. It says Corvette right there. There's no mistaking it. So a nice classic Corvette in black and whites. Just a really, you know, again, it's all about getting closer and closer and closer, shooting the details. Well, we've got this nice, he's got these nice leading lines here from the edge. So we're kind of coming out of this back right corner, kind of moving up through the image. The natural curves of the Corvette right here, how there's that contour that kind of leads us around the windshield, is actually leading us through the image. So we're kind of coming through here, and we're kind of wrapping around by the windshield. So this curved line right here kind of pulls me into this curved line of the windshield, then it kind of brings us back through the photo, makes us look at the details right here. So it's almost like this golden ratio effect that's occurring. And if you guys don't know what the golden ratio is, go look that up. It's a compositional thing that kind of breaks down the photo like a snail. And he's got some great things going on here. Love seeing the detail of the inside of the car. Our focus is probably right here because that seems to be the strongest, or maybe right here. It's hard to say. I mean, those are all really sharp, but this is also really sharp here too. So maybe they're just in the same plane of focus that we're seeing that. But I really love this shot of the interior, and I think you've got another one in here, Matt. So we'll make sure to check that here when we get to it. Amanda Dykhouse has this shot over the Mississippi River. So she's planes, trains, and automobiles. We didn't say that it had to be of it. She's shooting out of it. Now we've got this nice wingtip right here up in the sky, and several thousand feet in the air, looking down at the Mississippi River and all these barges with their cargoes and moving from point A to point B. I believe she shot this with her iPhone, so that's a great shot, Amanda. Thank you for sharing that with us. Getting into Chuck DeWitt's, I really love. I was kind of as Chuck kind of tuned in earlier. I love that. I love that he focuses on the details. Like, he likes to get close to his subject matter, and he shot this with the EM1X and a 12-100 Pro lens, so that's a 24-200 equivalent. But I just love that he's getting close on this detail of this train in Coopersville, 1395. He's focusing on the numbers on the engine, and I just love all the roached out rust and of the body of the actual train. And like, you zoom in, and if we had the full resolution file, we could see just how flaky and flecky this paint is, and kind of like the feeling that you would get like having your fingernails kind of pick up that paint. So really love the detail, the rust against the wood grain, always a classic. And then again, he's shooting more details. He's shooting the top of the steam engine right here, the bell of the steam engine, and again, all the rust and the details. We've got some of the environment in the background, like the roof and the siding. They can take a little bit away from this, but I still love the roached out details, and he's probably shooting from a great distance. But great lines coming through here, a lot of horizontal lines. And this is just giving you guys an idea of what the actual engine looks like. I just love how roached out the train is. Like, it's just so cool. And I love how Chuck got really close on the engine and shot the details of it. Would love to have seen more of this, but this is where it's important to stay off train tracks and stuff. Devil's in the details, people. What does that say? No trespassing. So that's why Chuck is probably shooting from a distance, not only to fill the frame, but there is also no trespassing. So Chuck, I don't know how close you were able to get to this, and just what is part of the trespassing, like how close you have to be. But if it is public railroad tracks, guys, anywhere near this dolomite is private property. So it's not public, it's private property, so you can't be there. Train companies own their own land. Even though you might think it's public, it's private. So just be mindful. I actually did get pulled over on private train land in Minneapolis, and the guy took our licenses and was ready to write us tickets, but luckily he let us go. But we were doing a photo shoot on the railroad tracks. And that's how I know personally that it's not a good idea to do such things. So please be smart. This is the last one. He also shot this in Coopersville, where that train is. Here's an old Chevy truck, pickup truck. Nice little red dice on the rearview mirror. But again, shooting the detail of the front of the vehicle. I could even live with it being this close and just seeing this much of it. I think this would be a great shot on its own, just right here. But it's nice to kind of add a little bit more context and add kind of the windows. I really think of the movie Cars when I see this, because I think I always kind of envision little eyeballs being right here. I know that's just the way my mind works, pop culture. But it's just a really great shot. Still really sharp, really great detail, because we're still zooming in and you can still see that we've got a lot that we can hang on to in this image. So really great captures, Chuck. Thank you for sharing with us. Going on to George Vanderweed. He's got this great shot of a train here, and I think this is the train in Grand Haven, because I'm seeing power lines and the trees, and it looks like a car went by at night. There's this little streak. He changed it to black and white, so it gives it that timeless look. It looks like he threw a flash on it. or a flashlight because there's some light on the actual engine. I believe this is the sister engine um, to the what do they call, the Holiday Express, the Winter Express, the Polar Express. So that's I think this is the train in Grand Haven. But again, he's shooting kind of the front, and with the way it's a longer exposure because you shot it at night, you can see the clouds are moving, and that's why I can tell that these are cars going by because the clouds are wispy. Again, devil's in the details. And he did throw a flash or at least a flashlight on the train because we're getting some kind of fill light in the foreground to let us know what we're seeing so that we can see the details. But this gives it the illusion that it's moving forward, even though this might be a fixed train because of the way that the clouds are moving this way and the car behind it's going this way. So the only thing that tells us it's stationary is that this tree isn't moving, this bench or these things aren't moving, and the power lines aren't moving. Those are the only things that kind of anchor us into it being a stationary object. Again, have fun with those things, play around with it. I probably would not have shot it from this angle. Having been down there, I would, had been more inclined to shoot it from the road. And I'm not saying that George is wrong for approaching it this way. I'm actually saying that I probably would have approached it like everyone else would be, and shooting it from the road facing back north. He's shooting it from the north side of it going south. So he's shooting it at a southward angle. So I really like this composition here, George. So thank you for sharing that with us. Going to Jacob Mutson, he sent this through Instagram, and we've got this old car inside of a shed here. I think maybe that's an old Chevy or something. I can't tell. I'm not a car guy, people. I'm sorry. I apologize if I like an old Oldsmobile or something. I don't know my cars, and that's for some of you that might be a sin. But I just know that it's got four wheels and it's older and it goes vroom vroom, right? So thank you for doing that, for sharing that with us. And again, timeless look. We're going with black and white and kind of gives it that kind of vintage feel, even though it's an older vehicle. It's just a nice composition, and then it tells a story. It's like, where is it at? It's in a shed somewhere. It's buried with a bunch of other stuff, kind of like neglected. And someday, hopefully, someone can get her out and give her some love and breathe new life into her. This is a shot from. Let's see. This is from Jennifer Walsh. Now she sent two photos of. She said that these were her dad's images. I don't know if these are or if this is from her camera itself, but she's got this demonstration of P-51 Mustangs. Her dad was in the Air Corps during World War II or following World War II, and he actually has this shot right here. I don't know if this is him flying or if he's shooting another pilot flying, but this is a P-51 Mustang, one of the most famous and notorious planes during World War II. They actually, just to give you guys a short history lesson, the P-51 Mustang actually saved a lot of bombers. There were a lot of B-17 bombers because America took the responsibility of doing daytime bombing of Germany, and we were losing a lot of pilots over, to the Luftwaffe, the German Luftwaffe, and over Germany to flak guns during the day. So we were doing aerial bombings during the day in broad daylight, and the British were doing it at night. And we suffered many casualties. In fact, I forgot how many missions you had to fly before it was okay for you to go home, 20 or something like that. And most guys did not make it to their minimum to go to retire out and go back home stateside for doing your full tour. So you had planes like the P-47 Thunderbolt that served as escort planes, over France and some of those other countries, but they didn't have the ability to carry enough fuel to get them to to Germany and back to Allied territory. So they would only fly halfway, and then the escort planes would turn back, and that's where the German Luftwaffe would come in, and they would come in hundreds at a time, and they would take out bombers. When you got 100 enemy planes, and you've just got guns attached to a bomber, well, they're moving so fast you can't really hit these guys. So the P-51 Mustang came in and basically were able to escort planes all the way from Allied territory in Great Britain, all the way to Germany, or their respective bombing runs, and then all the way back. So it really saved our bacon during World War II. But she had to she wanted to send this shot because her dad was in the Air Corps, and he did the photography during that time. And this is a shot that she took. You know, we did say planes, trains, automobiles, and I was accepting sailboats. Her husband, her father, and her son are all part of the races that go on here in West Michigan. And she took this shot of all these sailboats kind of all collected together. It's kind of really nice. It's almost symmetrical, even though it's not perfectly symmetrical. It just has this nice shape. It's evenly balanced from left to right. It's kind of nice that we have two sailboats with silver sails on the outer edges, and then we have kind of like this gold sail versus this black sail, and then kind of like this gray sail in the middle. So I just think it's a great capture, well framed. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that. Sandy's saying this could be another challenge. Submit a vintage photo. That could be something to find. And Brad says it looks like a Buick, the one that we went back the other time. Yeah, you know, I don't know about that, Sandy, because the idea is to kind of challenge you guys to submit, to create work. And yes, finding a vintage photo would be nice. What would be the challenge? This would be the challenge: is find a vintage photo and try to recreate that photo nowadays. That would be something worth doing a challenge over. But Kirk and I have some ideas, two other ideas, but that helps create some inspiration, Sandy. So I appreciate that, because I really think we could do that, is finding an old vintage photo, maybe it's of a family member or something like that, and trying to recreate it in today's world, with, you know, recreating the posing and the feel and look of that photo. So that's a lot of fun. And actually, the interesting thing is I did a photojournalism project on barbering in Minnesota, and I was trying to find a way to, like, how does the history influence the modern day photos that I captured by going to all these locations that I photographed in Minnesota. And I actually discovered, after laying out hundreds of photographs on the floor, I printed 400 or more of my photos, or 1,000 of my photos, and then 100 that I got from the Historical Society. And my best friend from school actually pointed out that he's like, hey, look at this photo, and look at this photo that you shot. And I had never seen the historical photos until after I had already shot all my barbershops. And he's like, this photo has the same, you're capturing the same action as you are in this photo. So there's like a barber standing behind their patron, and they're cutting their hair like this. And there's a photo from like the 1800s that's doing the same thing. So I was able to match up 100 historical photos with 100 modern photos and how they were similar. So that would be a fun project to undertake, is to find an old photo and then make it new, like redo it now. This is from Joey Girardi. I hope I'm saying that right. He shot this with a D5600 and 80-300. Now I think this might be from maybe the Grand Rapids. Maybe that's from Grand Rapids. I mean, I know he's an aerial photographer, because right here he has his little signature, Girardi Aviation Photography. I wish I knew what the runway calls were out in Grand Rapids. I don't recall seeing power lines in the background in GR, but I could be wrong. Now this could be at the aerial park, and again, this goes back to time of day, guys. He's got this nice golden light coming down, so the sun is setting in the background, and it's getting close to that golden hour. He's got this nice reflection off of the runway, and it's just kissing the top of the plane, and this is what we call rim lighting. We're rim lighting the top of the airplane. It's almost a silhouette. You know, he could underexpose us and just create a silhouette, but we got just this hint of detail right here. We know it's a United flight, but, you know, we're silhouetted right here, but we got this nice little highlight across the wing, nice highlight across the front, and just kind of kissing the tail, the tail fin right there, and it's just a really nice shot. It's weighted to the left. We've got a little bit of negative space here, kind of the third negative space up there, and it's got clouds in the sky. So a lot of great elements going on in this. So this is a good example of being able to shoot at the right time of day, because lighting is key. So thank you, for sharing that, Joey. We've got this one from John Thomas. He shot this with an EM5 Mark II, and I think this is the Polar. I don't know. I don't think this is the Polar Express, but he's got this great shot. I mean, look at this big line of, like, coming and going. He's leading us into the image, like, here, and he's forcing us to move back into the frame. We've kind of following this, and I think it's got to be not the Polar Express, but they've got their nice little wreath, so it's around Christmas time. Look at the detail here. This guy's looking out, conductor's looking out the window. We can even see that it's that it says Jesus in the background, and it's near Stanley Street and Genesee. So Genesee Road and Stanley Road. So with that information, we could find that crossroad on a map somewhere, and we could determine if it's the Polar Express or not. I think it might be. But it's just a great shot. He, again, making it timeless, making it black and white is kind of making it timeless. The only thing that is kind of interrupting that are these visual cues in the background. Is that we've got a modern day, looks like a Chevy Avalanche, and kind of the tinsel Jesus, and these street signs I know are not vintage. And it looks like it says 25 miles per hour back there is the speed limit. So I wonder how fast this guy's going, if he's breaking the law. But it's just this nice kind of curved line, guys. Nice black and white photo. The smoke billowing. He's got equal space on the top and bottom. So we've kind of got like this kind of nice little like Oreo sandwich, right? We've got the train in the middle. We've got the sky above. We've got the ground below. So it's this kind of nice, just kind of sandwich layered photograph. So very nice presentation there, John. Appreciate that. He's saying it's Crossroads Village, Huckberry Railroad, so it's not the Polar Express. But John, I don't know if you're in Michigan. I wonder where this is at Crossroads Village. If you can just let me know what that is, I would like to know, just so I can kind of tell everyone as we're going through things here. This is another one from Matthew Tate. So he shot that one Corvette in black and white. So it's like the Speed Racer car, right? Here's a nice detail shot of the front of the vehicle, and here's a yellow one in the background. I love how he utilized the depth of field. He shot in a square, which is a format that is not too typical for most photographers to use, but I think it's well used here. We've got kind of the detail shot in the foreground of the red Corvette. We got the yellow one in the background, and we're utilizing two primary colors, right? We've got red and yellow, and those are two primary colors in the main color wheel. They're analogous colors because they're right next to each other in the color wheel, and so we've got red, yellow, and green, and I just really like the shot. It's probably towards the evening, because if you guys look at the light in the background, it looks like there's some setting sun hitting the trees here. But we're getting a lot of atmospheric bounce on these highlights here that are defining the shape of the curves of the vehicle. And that's a nice even lighting. So that's telling me that the sun has set well enough that we're not getting any hard light on it, and we're getting atmospheric bounce from the light coming back down on the vehicle. So just really nice shot here. Really nice detail. Really sharp. And maybe it's not a Corvette. The first one is a Corvette, but this is these are some shots. I just love these shots here. So thank you, Matt Tate, for those. And those were shot with the Canon 80D. This is from Mike Tieford. Mike Tieford has some shots of I think this is maybe an 80s Mustang or a 90s Mustang, maybe a Shelby Cobra. There's the little Cobra right there. He's at a car show. Lots of cars, people go into those. This is a great time and opportunity to shoot cars, is going to a car show. We talked about location and timing. Find out where there's a classic car show and go shoot the cars, guys. There's no shortage of detail shots and just unique photos that you can get of vehicles than going to one of these little car shows and parades. He shot this with an EM1 Mark II. He's got this nice shot of a plane taking off from an airport. And again, we talked about illustrating motion, so we can tell the propeller is moving because we've got this motion blur from the propeller, so we can tell that the plane is moving. Even though it's still and frozen in the sky, we've got the movement in the propeller, and that's telling us that there's, we're implying the motion there. And I love these little biplanes in the background. It's kind of funny. It's almost like they're actually part of the image, but it kind of feels like the plane was transported back in time because you got these two biplanes that are going to come in and do a strafing run on this modern plane. So it's just nice little detail of just capturing the right moment at the right time, because you got two planes coming in and one plane leaving. So great shot right there, Mike. Appreciate that. Moving on, we have this shot from Patty Austin. This is from her Samsung Galaxy. She just shot these cars downtown Grand Haven, and you got a VW Rabbit or something like that, or Jetta that's a hatchback, and you got the nice little neons on the bottom of the vehicles. She's like, oh, this isn't part of the contest, but I wanted to include it because, hey, she took the time just to kind of like, hey, I saw this, I thought it was worth shooting, and we're presenting it, and she's shooting it from kind of the standard shot. I would have loved to have seen this a little down closer to the bottom of the ground, but it's still kind of a great environmental shot. We got the leading line leading us back into the image right here with the curb, and the building's kind of doing the same thing. We got these diagonal lines that are going into this vanishing point that's back here somewhere. So thank you for sharing that with us, Patty. This is from Philip Mayberry. This is with a Canon 7D Sigma 50-100. This is just a beautiful shot. I don't know if this is just the lighting in the garage that he has. It looks like there's like a wood-grained inlaid steering column right here. It might be a Porsche or something like that. I'm trying to recognize. It might be a Mustang. It's a Ferrari. There we go. It's a Jaguar Ferrari. But if you look right here, you got the little Ferrari symbol. I just love the detail. If this is wood, ingrained wood inlays on the steering column, on the steering wheel, I mean, he's got these nice little warm highlights on the dash. And if he's using like a flash or a flashlight, or if that's just the light in the garage, I mean, it's just an opportune shot that he's got the right lighting on the subject, and it's giving us like these nice little warm tones, a nice like inviting feeling of like, hey, look at these details. I just really like it. When I saw it, it just really cool. Yeah, Brad's saying, yep, Ferrari. And Brad, it's obviously that you know cars, so if I get anything wrong, you're going to be my hero on that one, right? So just really cool shot. Love it. Love the warm tones. Isn't much to hate about that. This is from Sandra, or the other Sandy, and she's got the Blue Angels in their, I think their Delta Diamond formation. Just doing their demonstration. I had the Thunderbirds. This is the Navy's demonstration team. Great shot. We got that one solitary cloud in the sky over here. We've got their jet trails kind of going up and over. She shot this with a 5D Mark IV at a 70-200 is what she shot this with. And that's a great shot, Sandy. I appreciate you sharing that with us. She also has this other one. I kind of get like the tones and the warmth that I got from the Ferrari shot. I really feel that right here. There's kind of like this nice little like 50s kind of 60s Americana drive-in theater kind of feel to this. There is a famous photographer that you guys should look into. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Gregory Crewdson. This kind of feels like a Gregory Crewdson shot. He sets up really elaborate scenes where he likes to light everything on purpose, and I just like how there's like this subtle light falling on the yellow lines of the road. You got the headlights and the taillights of the vehicle driving down the road. Can't tell what it is from here, but I just really love kind of the tonality of the image and just the overall feel. It looks like it's a square photo, and again, those are really hard to kind of frame up things as squares. Rectangles are definitely easier to exist in space. Squares, it's a little bit different on how to use them, but if you can master square photography, it really does, it really bodes well for you. Brad says he loves the Blue Angels shot. He saw them a while ago. It's been a while since I've seen them, but I love watching air shows. The demonstration teams are just really fun to watch. This is going to be from Tom Lemaire. He's got two. This is the Polar Express. Again, we're catching going through town. He's got the smoke. He's got it coming at him. We got these nice leading lines leading us into the back of the image. We got this vanishing point back here. You can see how popular this train is because of how many people are down here waiting to shoot it. And it's kind of nice that people are poking their heads out. To make it a timeless photo, Tom could have chosen to put this in black and white, and it would have made it would have given us that timeless feel, and we didn't have any of these visual cues in the background. We wouldn't know that it's a modern photograph. So nice capture, freezing the action there, Tom. And then he's got another one here of the 4449 Lawton, and he's freezing this one going through. Where is this heading through? From the American Legion in Lawton, Michigan. So this is near Lawton, Michigan, and the train's just going through, and he's freezing it just as it's kind of getting to the point. Again, kind of using the same aspect. We got these leading lines leading us back into the image, and I just love this engine, nice orange and black. This one would be fun to do a panning technique, and panning is when you follow the subject at the same speed it's traveling. And when you do that, it makes all the background and everything except for the moving object streak. So that you're kind of freezing the moving object and everything else around it is blurred. So it makes it look like it's speeding through the scene. I would have loved to have seen that with this one, but I really love the capture. It gives me a Thomas the Train engine kind of feel. Like I want I want Sir Topham Hatt to be in here somewhere, because it feels like it's a model train. So nice capture there, Tom. I appreciate you sharing that. And that, my friends, is everyone's photos. I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast tonight and sharing everyone's images. It was really fun seeing them. The next one is food photography. So if you guys haven't done food photography yet, I would encourage you, if you can, if you feel safe, getting out to one of the local restaurants and paying tribute to one of the local restaurants, and getting supporting local businesses and photographing food. Order a plate of food and watch our segment with Kirk Montgomery on food photography. Now, the kicker about food photography, which we're going to review tomorrow, so if you guys want to know more about food photography, tune in tomorrow at the same time, and we're going to go over and review the food photography. So we'll talk about that. So join us tomorrow for that. But I've already started receiving submissions. But what I would encourage you guys to do is find a local restaurant that you would like to visit. Support your local restaurants in this time. And Napotes, I shot some of my stuff at Napotes. Napotes has really great natural light, but try to find a restaurant that has good natural light. If you go during the day and you sit by a window, you'll get some of the best natural light. You don't want it to be direct because you don't want the hard shadows on your food. You kind of want these nice soft feelings of food. So that does it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. We're going to be doing another one tomorrow, going over and reviewing our food photography challenge. If you guys have any questions for me, you know where to find me. I'm here at the camera shop Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we've got someone here for you 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. We're off Sundays. So if you guys have anything for me, you know where to find me. But in the meantime, go out there, be creative, shoot some food photography, have fun, submit more than one image. Don't submit more than 5. Keep it to 1 to 3 images. But I'm really excited to see what you guys create for the food photography challenge. I appreciate you all who participated this week. Really great images. I love to see that you guys are growing, that you're participating, and I hope that you encourage and challenge one of your friends to participate who also shoots, because the more that we have, the more images that we have, the merrier. It's just fun to look at what you guys are doing. So I will leave it at that. You guys are great. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you guys all soon. Have a good evening and stay cool.